All right. Hey, Maven Nation, and welcome to another episode of Success with Saneness, where we share solution inspired stories to help you either gain and maintain your well being. So today I have the absolute honor and privilege of having an amazing guest with me, my own pastor. Pastor Eric W. Hoskin. He is a senior pastor of the Word of God Christian Fellowship Church. I've been meaning to ask him how he came up with that long name, but that's another podcast. We'll talk about that later. So I'm excited to share him with you. Pastor E, welcome to the show. Welcome to this tribe that I call Maven Nation. Listen, we are women predominantly, but men also. We're trying to live our best life, literally in the sense of the word, and do it. For me, do it God's way. That's the way I know how to do it best. So tell us a little bit about yourself. Listen, I know you are a father, a pastor, a philanthropist, a motorcyclist, a entrepreneur. You wear a lot of hats. So introduce yourself a little bit, and then tell us how you came from Natchez, Mississippi, to the big city of Houston/Cypress, Texas.
Well, thank you so much, Mara. Thank you. Listen, when you were giving that introduction, I was trying to figure out who you were talking about.
Talking about you, sir.
And so when you said all that, I got tired already. I'm like, oh my God. No, but thank you. It's a privilege. It's an honor to be on your platform. You're an amazing person. You're a blessing everywhere you go. And so I pray that God continues to keep you as the salt and light of the world. And so as for me, like you said it, I am from the big city, metropolis, Natchez, Mississippi.
Metropolis. Very good. I'm going to go with it.
Right. Natchez, Mississippi, born and raised. So I'm country at heart. I've been in Houston since 2001, but I'm still country to my roots. I still love going back home where everything stands still. Where there's no stress, no pressure. But my journey was quite interesting. When I first moved to Houston, Cyprus, a lot of things have changed since then. I was working full-time for the federal government. I was married at the time. And I had two sisters who lived here, and they just kept encouraging me. They were like, listen, you're the youngest. You need to get away from hometown. There's so much more life has to offer. And I was like, no, I'm good. Because after work, back home, I could go fishing or ride four-wheelers,
Yeah.
And so I was comfortable, but I'm so glad that they encouraged me to make the leap. And so I transferred with the agency from Mississippi to Texas. And while I've matriculated here, it was here where I was climbing the ranks with the government and really doing, I think I was on a great trajectory, I thought. And God put a call in my life to join ministry, start preaching. And we'll talk about that. But I fought it. And so I'm grateful that I did yield to the call. And so from that, I was able to preach for several years, then birthed the church here in Cyprus. And just grateful that God has called me to do that. Since matriculating, unfortunately, I experienced a divorce, but still raising 4 kids, custody of my youngest, kids ranging from age 26 all the way to 11. So,
well, okay, bless God.
Won't he do it? Because he had to do that. Trust me.
Okay.
No, but life is good. To be honest, life is good, and just in a space now where I'm really trying to protect my peace, protect my saneness as I continue to be obedient to God.
You talked about that fight against what you knew was pulling on your heart, and when that call for me to become a maven, someone that shares their knowledge with others, I was always willing to put events together and be in the back of the room. Fine with that. And I was literally headed to HEB in Cyprus. This has been about 8 years ago, maybe 9. And I kept hearing this loud noise in my ear, but it wasn't the radio. And I finally said, God, will you please turn that down?
Similar story.
And he said, not until you listen to what I have to say. And I literally cried for 3 days after that because I just felt, I can't do this. Right. I was like, you picked the wrong sister. Like, I don't, this is not, look, I was still in corporate space at Chevron at the time, a trader. I'm like, listen, I'm going to keep working until retirement, go lay on the beach with a cocktail guide. I wrote it down. This is what I'm going to do. But this is it. I got it figured out.
That's how God operates. I mean, that's how he
moves. And I feel like if he really showed us everything in the beginning, we'd really be running. We would really be running. So how did that, I know I've heard you touch on before, how that running looked for you that manifests itself in your health.
Yes.
Tell us a little bit about that.
I ran so hard because, not only was I trying to matriculate up this ladder, my aspirations was to SES, GS 14, 15, because I was GS 13, GS 14, 15. I wanted to be SES status.
These are corporate pay levels in the government. Okay.
And so I wanted to, my goal, I grew up in that era where, Robert Johnson, Bob Johnson, the Black Enterprise. Listen, I wanted to be in Baltimore. I wanted to be in DC. That was my mind frame. I wanted to be the youngest to do it. So I was getting it. I mean, I was getting awards after awards, being flown to Baltimore to our headquarters. I mean, I just knew this was it. And and when God put his call on me, it was so heavy that my health began to fail. The tension and the stress of me not yielding to the call when he really called me, it caused me to form a condition called benign head tremors. It resembles Parkinson, but anxiety and stress gets into you so heavy that you have an uncontrollable shaking. There's nothing that you can do or calm it, to the point where I was on medication.
Oh, wow.
And so when God really put the call on my life, he started making easy things that I mastered, programs that I wrote, training manuals that I created. I was no longer effective in these things, to where it was hurting my. But so I was on this trajectory where I was, I was receiving awards after awards with the government. 1 year I received 2 commissioning citations, and the same year where I had to be flown to Baltimore. I mean, I just really saw what what I wanted to do.
Right.
And God put this call on my life. I'll never forget. I had run so long, so hard against him, because I really thought that if I accepted this call, that I was going to lose who I was and some of the things that I just thought about ministry and all of that. And so I never forget, I was at home by myself. I was up in my son's room, and I was balled in a corner. The pain was so excruciating. And I heard a little loud, audible voice saying, are you going to yield to the call? And I remember, just like yesterday, I said yes, because I had no other options.
Right.
And I said yes.
You're like, I want the pain gone. I want to get this right.
But here's how God operates, because he allows the squeezing, he allows the pressing in order to bring out our obedience. And the moment in which I said yes, I immediately no longer had to take the medication. The condition cleared itself up. Still, some after effects, but I think that's that thorn that Paul talks about to keep us humble. But I mean, it was amazing. And so from yielding to the call, as they say, the rest is history.
Wow. And when you started, isn't that, and doesn't it seem like God always picks those times where we feel like, I got it.
Right.
We flowing. This is easy. I'm just going to keep doing this right here. With really no pressure being applied to our lives.
Absolutely.
It's like, really, you thought you was going to get to come here and just chill out and, you and your family only be good,
right,
and you don't share anything else with the world. I mean, that's how I wrote it down in my Google Calendar. I thought he was going to go along with what I said.
Absolutely not.
That's what I thought. So, this, I want to talk a little bit about spiritual well-being.
Sure.
So with you wearing all the different hats that you wear, and every now and then I'll hit you with a text with Pastor E.
Yeah, you with me?
How we doing?
Right.
Let's not get too far off the chart here, because I know how it affects not just our mental, but our physical. It shows up, and you know that experience of it showing up
firsthand
physically to get our attention to go, hey, you're off track here.
Yeah.
Something's not right. How do you balance that for you as dad, Pastor E, if you're in the dating world, Mr. Hoskin, being a philanthropist, community leader, all of those different hats? How do you keep that spiritual well-being at the top of all of the things that you do in a day?
Absolutely. So I'm going to answer it in twofold.
Okay.
The first fold I want to answer, just give me some practical things that you have to do, that you have to
Okay. Very good.
really, really position me with it. Number one, you have to increase your faith. Like it's no
Yes.
question about it. And increasing your faith means that you have to trust that he sends to you in order to create a circle so that you can not only uh, achieve being healthy, but sustain it. It's one thing to achieve it and you get yourself together, but you gotta maintain and sustain it. And so for me, it's an amazing accountability circle. You have to be held accountable, and you have to have some people who can check in on you, who are not necessarily intimidated by you or who want anything from you other than they want to see the full potential. And these people are generally God-ordained people. They may not always look like you. They may not always live where you live, but he sends God-ordained people to make sure, just like Elijah in the Bible, where there was a drought and he sent ravens, so he's going to send what he needs, to make certain that his person, his man, his woman of God does what he calls them to do. The second thing you got to do, you have to take care of not only your faith, your spiritual, but you got to take care of your physical. You have to take care of your physical, and when we have certain age, we're not going to the gym to try to get all these muscles. Those days may be long gone, but
is. But we're just trying to be together. We're just trying to be together. My God,
getting these miles so that cardiovascular, so that our hearts can be right, so that our minds, and in those times of exercise and walking and cycling, whatever you do, you're also talking to God. You allow Him to speak to you during those times. But the last thing you got to take care of, you got to take care of your emotional. So for me, it's a maintenance of chiropractor, massages. I have a life coach that speaks into me, phenomenal. And I have a pastor. I have all of these things who are around me that when I feel myself, veering off, they can kind of pull me back. Hey, you need to step away. You need to take action. Like, listen, you need to do. We see it in you, and they're not intimidated to tell me about it. So you got to take care of. You got to do the massage. You got to get that quality time. Go get your nails done. Go whatever that piece that's for therapy or therapeutic for you. I know a lot of people hate going to therapists and counselors. Listen, I'm the first one in there. Sign me up. Let me get this off of me, so somebody can kind of help me with it. So that's the first piece that I would definitely say. And then the last piece, particularly when you're trying to manage, all of the things that I kind of juggle, whether it's entering or re-entering the dating world, traveling with, because I also am a professor with, the seminary I work for. I do student services, recruiting, and my most difficult job. You would think that pastoring, over 1,000 people is the hardest, which it is right. Number two, it's number two. But the hardest job that I have is being a father. It is, this morning before I came here to do this podcast, I had to go to the school to drop off something that baby girl left. So so I salute,
it's always something.
I salute all parents, single mothers. Listen, I salute you because that's the hardest job. And so I don't want to shift, but I kind of, and we'll talk about the 3 C's that I use to when I'm juggling different things, particularly, when you're looking at the dating space, when you're looking at assignments that you're going to accept or reject. Because here's a big one that we gotta develop the courage to say no.
Listen, I'm doggone proficient at this point. Listen, it just, and here's something I want to share. I think that's an easier feat sometimes for men. Women struggle with that more because we're just created to be more nurturing, more heart centered. I tell women, if someone asks you something and you're just unsure, you don't have to give a yes or no in the moment. I tell people to say, look, can you email me that information so that I can make sure it's a good fit for you and for me?
You better say it.
Both of us need to be good on this.
Right.
And again, I'm good that if it's not for me, I have a deep network. Say, well, let me connect you to this person or refer you to someone else. Just because, even if it's a paying thing, if it's not for me, it's probably for somebody I know. And I'm good to send that over the fence, because if there's anything to get us away from balance and maintaining our well-being, it's overusing that yes.
You better say it. You better say it.
Giving it out too much.
You preaching already.
And listen, I tell people, the person you're giving the no to, they're going to be all right.
They're going to be fine.
They're going to be person. Okay.
Absolutely.
And with kids, and I'm going to drop the encouragement to all the parents that are still raising children. Hang in there. Keep saying it. It's going to be all right. Listen, my husband and I raised a blended family of 4, all 4 millennials. I'm real grateful that today they all standing on their own financial feet. Ain't nobody asking us for nothing. I don't have to give up none of my shoe money to help nobody do nothing. I'm grateful. So I say to parents that are in that toughest job, most important job of raising children, stay on it. They gonna act like they don't hear you. The daughter, get to teenagers, they mad about everything you say.
Absolutely. Oh, absolutely.
Keep saying it. They're gonna come through and wind up just as we did, repeating what our parents said.
Yeah. Well, it's not my first rodeo. I got 4 totals over from age 26, 24, 20, and then I call this one my S550 Mercedes because every time I look at it, I could be in a could be in my Mercedes, but I'm
look. Here's what happens. That last child, the parents be tired. I'm my mother's last child. Listen, she just wanted me to do right. She didn't have all that energy to be running around and do. Myra, just do right. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Amen. Yes, ma'am. Amen. Now you touched on balancing the dating life, all the other hats you wear. You wrote a book. Tell us the name of it and a little bit about it. And what inspired you to even write that? Listen, with all these hats, how you wrote a book, Lord Jesus? Yes.
I'm the proud author of my first book entitled "The Waiting Season." Okay. What to do when God has you in a holding pattern. Okay. The book was ignited while I was going through my divorce. I was separated, through my divorce, and God was carved out this time where He just really spoken to me. That's something that the world needed to hear. And absolutely, and this waiting season, because you just spoke on it. Sometimes a response is not needed. A yes or no is not needed. But we have to learn, how to handle and develop in the quiet seasons of our life, knowing the difference between being lonely and alone, right? And so, so the thought pattern behind the book is I juxtapose our plane flight that I actually had to take to San Francisco. And there was so many nuggets from this particular flight that helped me in the waiting season, because sometimes we take stuff with us to a new destination that we don't need. And so, how do we learn how to get rid of the baggage that won't fit where we're going? So one of the nuggets, because I overpack. I'm going up 3 days.
You're that guy?
I'm that guy. I got to go preach. I'm preaching one time. You would think I'm going on a vacation. And so I was heading to San Francisco. I had to go preach. And I'm taking this big roll on because in my mind, I don't want to leave anything. I'm accustomed to not trusting, what I really need or doing the research for where I'm going. And so I end up taking all these things, get to the airport. I'm running late because I got so many things that I'm carrying. And we don't realize carrying heavy baggage that you don't need sometimes delays where you're going. And so as I'm rushing, trying to get to the check-in counter. I get to the check-in counter. I'm already late based on what I did to myself, carrying what I don't need to carry. I get to the counter and the young lady says, "What you have in the bag, it costs too much." So oh wow. So here I am. I had to spend more money because as I was exposing myself, because I had to open up my bag, take out stuff that I didn't need. So I'm taking all type of personal things that I don't want the world to see. And now I got to spend another $70 for a suitcase.
An overweight bag.
Overweight bag. So now it's taking stuff where I don't need to take it that shouldn't go. It not only make you late, delay you, but it costs you more. Now I'm not trying to preach, but I'm you actually
listen. Give us the nugget. Give us the nugget. It's life applicable for sure.
Spending extra on stuff that if we really did the work that's needed in the waiting season. So sometimes God pauses us. He puts us on pause so He can work out on some things and clear the runway so that when we land, it'll be smoother. I give another illustration is that on the way back coming from San Francisco, I noticed that the pilot said something I had really never heard a pilot say before. He said, "Listen, we're going to circle the airport again, because when they radioed ahead, the runway wasn't clear.
Okay.
And so I'm like, wait, what's going on? He said, we're going to circle it again because the runway. And so what God spoke to me is sometimes God has us in a waiting season. He has us in a holding pattern.
Okay.
He's going to land us, but he's not going to land us until he makes certain that, oh my God, I felt the Holy Spirit preach right there.
Yes.
So
listen, we need it.
Stop rushing God when God has you in a waiting season. God knows your past. He knows your future. And he knows the right time to land you. He knows the right time to put you in this new season. All we got to do is trust God in that waiting season. So you can get that book on Amazon. You can get the book on Barnes & Noble, Kindle form, book studies. I mean, it's been used all over the world.
And we're gonna drop that link in the comments under this video, so y'all be sure and grab the book. But I really like what you said about having to circle and these holding patterns. Let me just say to those listening or watching this, the holding patterns are uncomfortable.
Yes, Lord.
They are uncomfortable.
Yes.
They're uncomfortable, and I know for me, when I get in uncomfortable, because I'm an executor, I'm a strategist, I'm a solution oriented. I'm like, well, let me figure out how to get out of this.
Right.
I want to move. I want to execute. I want to solve. So when I've experienced those holding patterns, those holding seasons, I'm like, God, what we doing?
Right.
This is not productive.
Right.
This is not it. But when you look back over how some things played out, you realize that he still never fails.
Yeah.
Even when we might not see the whole lesson or why, all the things, we needed those holding patterns to be prepared to receive the thing. I frequently say, don't let your blessing overwhelm you. Because if we're trying to speed up the flight, we don't want to do the circle. We're ready to land and go.
Absolutely.
Now your runway is full of debris and old people that shouldn't be there, bad attitudes, all of the things. And that's what I know as an entrepreneur, like, I'm ready to go. I'm ready to move to my next financial level, ready to do the next, whatever it is. Even in the corporate space, career professionals, in church, everybody wants to get to go, to lead, to be in the front.
Absolutely.
Listen, I say this frequently, that if your purpose, your thing is 5 gallons and someone else's is 10, you have the gifts and grace for your 5. Don't try to do 10.
That's what it means. Come on now.
It's too much. And listen, I be wanting to give some of my gallons back. Listen, be careful how you ask for these gallons, right? And really, that spiritual well-being for me is what keeps me, I call it coming back to center, to say, okay, I'm feeling anxious.
Amen. I'm
feeling like I need to go faster. I'm feeling like I need to make the solution. And that always doggone it gets me in trouble. Like you all do your own self. How that happen?
Remember this. One of the biggest things that God wants us to do in the season of waiting is rest. And we struggle. Listen. We struggle with this. Sometimes God just take a nap, like serious. Here's why. Look at the duality of the distress that happens when you land prematurely. Not only will there still be debris or hazards on the runway, but look at how many people will be affected and possibly killed that's on the plane with you if you land prematurely, which means that you have so many people who are connected to you that you're responsible for, that if you land and rush the process, it's not just you that's being affected. But everybody on the so
that feels so heavy at times, right? But it really is the fact when you take what you feel your assignment is to heart, when you truly try to honor that. I remember before I got on, this Maven journey of really embracing what I was created to share with others, I had hosted an event. One of my good girlfriends, Jordan Lorenz, after this event, and I didn't speak at this event, I put a whole sassy thing together and we made it do what it do.
Right.
She came up to me after that event and said, just imagine if you didn't do what you're supposed to do, how many people would be affected.
Ooh.
And walk right on off.
Wow.
And I was like, oh my God. I was like, Jay, why would you say that?
Why not?
Like that. It felt like a whole 10 tons got put on my shoulder when you think of it that way.
Absolutely.
But then I had to go through the season of realizing that, yeah, it's my gifts and grace to execute it, but I don't have to be the one lifting it. That's where the spiritual well-being comes in, where I have to rely on God that gave me the assignment. Child, I wouldn't have signed up for this.
Facts.
I love it. I love the work I do. I love how I get to impact people. But again, that beach with the cocktail, it seems so much easier.
Call it my name. Call it my name.
Right? Like that just seems so much, like that would just be like easy street, right?
Absolutely.
But, even I say when I had a 27-year corporate career, I enjoyed being a trader. It's high stress, fast paced. I loved it. But the transition of me getting laid off to become a full-time entrepreneur, listen, I say today, honestly, had I not gotten laid off, I would have still, now the last 3 years of my career, I was bored to tears. To tears.
Right.
But the way that biweekly check was hitting my banking account,
made it all right.
I would have stayed in that comfort zone of, oh, well, just, and it's like, well, I got the insurance for my family and like all of these things. And listen, one of my friends said, oh, so your faith is at the level that you only believe God can provide when you have a corporate job.
Oh, listen, my. Oh, my.
You talked about that accountability circle.
Absolutely. You got to have it.
Listen, they can give you something that literally hits you in the gut, but the people that you trust, they don't mean it with no pain.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not.
They love you and trust you. And that's a part of, I call it community. Mm-hmm. If you don't have people in your accountability circle, your intimate community pushing you, saying these things. And I say to every female entrepreneur that we have to have someone in our circle pushing us on price.
Come on now.
Especially church people. Because we feel like, well, God gave me this assignment and I should, if the market rate is $5,000, well, I'm just going to charge $2,000. No. Because the Lord,
right.
Listen,
no.
I believe the Lord wants you to get all your coins.
Come talk to me about it.
Because here's the thing. I say, if you don't have seeds to sow into other people, your thing cannot just be about you.
Amen.
If you don't have any seeds to sow, how are you helping growing someone else's? How are you touching someone else?
And that's how harvest produce. Every harvest produced by a seed. But the other illustration is there's nowhere you'll find in the Bible where Jesus did anything mediocre. Never. Okay. Everything he did it over and excessive. I mean, and that's just his lifestyle.
Right.
It's not mediocre just to heal the lame man, but then he made him get up and walk. Like it's not just heal, but you're gonna be whole. And so I don't think that God, favor follows faithfulness.
Yes.
Yeah. And so when we're obedient to God, you can't dummy down your value at the expense of, making other people feel comfortable. You just can't. You just can't do it.
I like that. I like that. And I think that's a struggle. I find that struggle when I'm coaching or mentoring someone more in Black and brown people that have been raised in the church. And I don't think I'm not saying that's a fault of the Bible.
Right.
I think we just had some bad doctrine.
Correct.
We had some bad doctrine. When I get to heaven, I'm gonna get my reward. Lord, look, I want some reward
on this side.
Yeah.
On this side.
This right here. On this side. I'll go ahead and take some of mine right now. So I've also seen you post about wind therapy. And listen, this is what I want listeners to gain from this too. Find the thing that brings you joy.
Yeah.
your thing. Your thing might not be my thing, but that spiritual well-being has to include things other than, I mean, studying your Bible, prayer time, all of that is a foundation. You got to have that. But what are the other
Absolutely.
things that you do? So I've seen your bike and you're posting about the wind therapy. What does that do for you personally and as it relates to your spiritual well-being? Because I want people to see the connection that couple things, things outside the church can bring you joy. That's absolutely safe and necessary. And that Jesus and therapy appointments go together.
Absolutely.
Those are connected.
I think it's this thing that we got to get to the point. You spoke on it, and unfortunately, the body of Christ, is so heavy critically or so overly critical, particularly when a person is actually walking in what God said that they can walk in. And I think we have to adopt a mentality for those of us who are going to play at that level. You got to remember, God is never in the shallow end of the pool. He don't call us to play in, because if you're going to stand shallow, you don't need faith, right? You can stand up.
Yeah, well, that's true.
Yeah, he wants to put you in something that's over your head. So for me, so some of the things that I like to do, some people may say it's an expensive hobby, but I'll share with you what it does. I love fast cars. So, whether it's a Corvette, slingshot, motorcycle, I'm partial to my motorcycle because it's a carefree feeling. You're out on the highway, and the wind is hitting your face, and you got the music, jamming, and when I'm rolling and jamming to my music, it ain't BB and CC wine, and it ain't Marvin Sapp, and so
amen.
Yeah, amen. And so when I'm in that space and I'm vibing and I'm, grooving, be Anita Baker, Isaac, bro, whatever it is that you like, in the car, take the top down. And so you escape from the four walls that tries to close in, that's your calling. And if we don't have another place I love to go to, I love playing golf. So if I don't have the time to play a 3-hour, round of golf, 3 or 4 hour rounds of golf, I go to the driving range. Nobody's out there but just me, what I'm doing, and God. He's talking to me. I'm downloading things into my spirit. It's in those moments where, after we pray to God and we give him our laundry list, and we can go get off the radar and God can just download things in our spirit.
Give us some answers to the questions we're asking.
Deposit $1 million ideas into our spirit, where oftentimes if we don't drift off and retreat off, we miss opportunities, but then we get upset because we say that, God is not speaking. No, he's speaking to you. He's telling you to slow down, rest, so that he can deposit into you. I think another trick that, the enemy is, we confuse being busy with doing the right things. So we think just being busy.
Yeah,
it's productive, and when you look back, you didn't even accomplish anything. So for me, whether it's riding my Harley, or hitting golf balls, you have to steal away. Jesus stole away.
Yeah, he did.
To a quiet place, a lot of times in Scripture, to go back and commune with God.
Yeah, for me, it's I've made it past the 50 plus mark. And so my health and wellness coach actually moved me away from doing the big hit workouts. Like I love them. But she's like, that's going to work against you right now.
Wow.
And so, especially for Black women, because we carry more stress, we carry it in our hips, stomachs, all these things. And making that transition, I've already seen the difference in my body, in my weight, how I feel, the whole thing. And that's one of those things. I say this point, we will invest in things that's a high priority for us.
Absolutely.
And I don't fool myself into thinking that I'm going to stay spiritually well balanced by maintaining my workouts and physical things I need to do by myself. I'm going to invest in seeing somebody.
Come on.
I got to meet somebody.
Yeah.
Again, I tell friend one friend, like, man, you work out consistently because I'm paying an accountability partner. This is a high priority. So high priority, you're going to make your investment for something that's a high priority. Now, people that say something's a high priority, but you're not making an investment,
Right.
it don't go together.
Absolutely not.
It don't go together. So I know for me, when I am physically doing what I need to do, that helps me stay spiritually well balanced because I'm going to get up in the morning, do my spiritual prayer, meditation, stretching time. I'm going to do that.
Yes.
Because then I know after that, now I'm moving to the physical part. Then we're going to get to the regular work of it. So I want you to share your 3 C's that you mentioned with us. And really what I want listeners to take away is you hear me talking about balance rhythm all the time. And I use that word, it just means work-life harmony. And it requires you to spend time with yourself to figure out what does your balance, your rhythm look like.
Wow.
Frequently I ask people, well, what does your balance or your rhythm even look like? I don't know. And it brings them to tears because that's going to require you to be alone, some quiet time to hear, to think about, man, this is what I want. Like even times we're praying for things, but we really don't want the answer, especially when the answer requires work. We want a miracle every time. Just fix it.
Yeah.
And he's like, no, sis, you're gonna have to work this time. You're gonna have to see your accountability partner for training. You're gonna have to follow the meal plans and things she's laid out for you. He's not gonna wave a magic wand and just give me that. Listen, I've asked him multiple times. I have to do the work.
Got it.
And I want folks to know that this spiritual well-being and balance that we're talking about requires work on your part.
Faith without works is dead.
It requires work.
Faith without works is dead.
Yeah.
Sure. You know, I think we want perfection in production with no pressure. And that's just...
Oh, goodness. Yeah. Wait, say it again. Say it again for the people. That's going to be a clip. That's going to be a clip. My goodness.
We want perfection in production with no pressure. So this illustration you were just saying, we want results, right? But we don't want any accountability that's going to get us our results. And so, you know, they go hand in hand. You can't have the total results without, you know, you can buy exercise equipment. You can look at exercise. You can walk by the gym. You can do all that. You can have the heart for it.
Right.
Spirit, you know, oh my, you know, I touch and agree that I'm outside the gym. You're a spiritual person. But no action, no pressure.
Right.
So you're not gonna get no results, right?
And got to do the work.
You got to do the work. And so, you know, for me, let me see if I can package it. And I'll get to the 3 C's because the 3 C's are important for every element of your life.
Okay.
The spiritual takeaway that I would definitely tell you, number 1 is submission. You got to submit to God. You got to submit your will.
Okay.
Throw your will out. It don't even matter anymore.
Right.
The tension that you're facing in your life right now is because there's a fight between your will and His will. And trust me, you're not going to win. The second thing,
right,
you have to commit everything to prayer. The Bible speaks over and over and over again that we got to pray without ceasing. You know, the effective prayers of the righteous avail much. I mean, it's in Scripture. You know, and so prayer requires more than us just talking to God, but it also requires us to be quiet and allow God to speak back to us. And then you seal all of that with crazy faith. Like when God gives me something, particularly that's over my pay grade, if He said it and I'm doing it, I know it's going to come to pass. Like I have such a crazy faith. I know it's going to happen, right? But now let's get to the practical, like the 3 C's. And I find this often, it's with men and women, but typically when I counsel women, you know, and this whole relationship and dating thing, you know. And it's more, it's not just applicable to relationships, but I want us to really, and since the audience is permanent, like really pay attention to the 3 C's. 3 C's are commitment, competency, and capacity.
Okay.
Commitment, competence, and capacity.
Okay.
Believe what people show you.
Listen, that's one of my favorite quotes in the whole wide world.
Like
when people show you who they are, believe them.
Right. And so, but stop trying to change who people have showed you who they are based on what you think you're going to. So you know, in the dating world, right? Let's dating world. red flags are real.
Okay. Yes.
You cannot let your loneliness
Okay.
affect what people show you.
Okay.
You cannot let your desire for whatever, whether they muscular or they get the money in the bank, the credit score, all these
Okay.
things. They are who they are. So the first thing that I would throw out is commitment. When you are business, if it's a relationship, whatever it is, you know what I'm saying? Make certain both parties have the commitment. Like,
Okay.
because we make a priority what we're committed to.
Yes.
Right?
We do.
So I don't care how big, all these things that's on my plate, everything that I have to do on a daily basis when my admin sends it, you know what I'm saying? I'm committed to each of these things. And anything that's outside of my purpose, it don't hit my list.
Okay. Yeah.
Second thing, you got to be real with yourself to determine if the person has the competence.
Oh, wow. Well, there it is.
Let's just keep.
Yeah. Yeah.
And with some, you guys are some of the most praying people. Oh, I'm gonna pray this. I'm gonna pray them different.
Right. Mm-mm.
No, I am who my mama and daddy is.
From Natchez, Mississippi. Like this it. This it right here.
Right.
Yeah.
And so, oftentimes, I found that people make other people their projects. And that's not always God ordained.
Okay.
So you got to be real with yourself. Does the person or the bit, whatever I don't want to just make it about relationships, but
yeah.
And then the last one, the capacity.
Okay.
Do both of you all have the capacity for what you desire?
Okay.
So you're trying to you're trying to pour 10 gallons into a 5-gallon bucket.
No, it's not going to work.
It's not going to work.
No.
It's not going to.
No.
And so once we start really praying about, and so you just spoke it a minute ago, we pray to God, but then when we don't like the results, we want to tear it in. You can get up. I mean, we joke, but it's so serious. Like it's
the fact.
He spoke.
Yeah.
10 gallons is not going in 5.
Yeah.
So does it have the capacity to handle, not only who you are, but where you are?
Yeah.
So you've done this work.
That's important.
Come on. That's what a job. You don't go back to a job that don't even appreciate the value of the work that you put in where you are.
Right. Yeah.
And so I want to definitely make certain that I live by the 3 C's. And as difficult as whatever that answer may yield, whether I disagree with it or not, it is what it is.
It's going to save you some pain, some investment, some in the long run. Like, I've said I've tried the process of changing God's mind on some stuff.
How did it work?
It didn't. It didn't.
Right.
It didn't. I tried. I wrote it down. Then I talked to him about it, and he says to me, "Little girl, get up, go on, do what I ask you to do." Like you down here standing begging and asking.
Right. I said what I said.
This is it. Yeah, I said what I said. Right. So listen, I appreciate those 3 C's because, like you said, that can apply to your career, to your entrepreneurship, to being a parent, to being, in the dating world, in your marriage.
Yes.
Especially if you want to stay in it. You see, that's 2 different.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So you want to stay in it.
Right.
Those and actually capacity is one of my favorite words because that's sometimes my response. If someone is asking something of me, I will say, I don't have the capacity for it.
And you're not to equate that with your value to make,
absolutely,
I can't do it. No. Once you get accustomed to understanding what you have the capacity for, listen, life is just going to be so much easier. And a lot of people struggle with that because we're people pleasers, want to make everybody happy and all these things. But no. If you don't have the capacity, come on now.
Just say, I will say I wasn't as strong with no and capacity thoughts some years ago, but my husband's real good at no. Baby, he can hit somebody with a no.
Right.
And like he don't blink. He don't think about it, ladies, like that. The answer was no. Right. So I really learned some of that really from him and really just observing how men can say what they mean and mean what they say, and then they don't, as I say, women will stretch out on the couch and cry about
it. Yeah.
Y'all can do a pleasant no, and okay, well, we going for lunch.
Right, we going on.
Like it's the next thing. It's I say to women, like, we don't have to do a group hug.
Come on.
Again, we're nurturers. We're nurturers.
That's good.
But we don't have to rally the troops and, girl, what you thinking? Did you pray with me? And if you know the answer is no, stop wasting other people's prayer requests. Move on and do what you're supposed to do, because it's not going to change. So listen, I'm going to hit you with some rapid fire questions. And you give me your answer. Yeah, I didn't even tell you I was going to do that because I want it to be right off the cuff. Okay.
Go with it. I'm ready.
So, all right. You just tell me which one of these. If I said meat, seafood, or veggies.
Seafood.
Okay. Peanut butter and jelly or grilled cheese.
Grilled cheese.
Okay. Zip lines or pool lounging.
Pool lounging.
Absolutely. Reading a book or audiobook.
Oh my God. I've gotten lazy, so I'll say audiobook now. I've got lazy in my old age.
Okay, listen. So nap or no nap?
Oh, nap. Oh, no. Nap.
Yeah, you talked about that in your sermon. Nap. Good napper. Digital planner or paper planner?
Paper.
Okay. Oh, wow. Mm-hmm. Okay. Biggie or Tupac?
Tupac. Come on now.
Okay. Techie or old school?
Old school.
Yeah, when you just said that paper planner, I was like, he old school. Sneakers or dress shoes?
Sneakers.
All right. And then ice cream or cookies?
Ice cream.
Okay. Listen, that's it. That's all I got. No harm. No harm.
Listen, I braced myself. I was like, uh-oh, here we go.
Like she ready to hit. Now the Maven gonna come out. She gonna hit me with some stuff. It's all good. Right. I'd like to do, though, just as a fun little thing, to get folks to realize that no matter what office, station, position in life we hold, people are people.
Amen.
Humans are humans, and if we can treat really, that golden rule of treat others how we want to be treated.
Amen.
That we could move the hardness, the craziness in the world down several notches by just doing that. Pastor E, listen, I'm honored. I'm grateful to get on your calendar. Like I got on there months ago, because listen, I know how your calendar is. I'm grateful and honored that you could share with my community of Maven Nation today and give us these good nuggets. Listen, I'm gonna hit somebody with them 3 C's. They're gonna ask me for something, and I'm gonna say, my pastor said this part right here. I'm gonna let them know. So I appreciate it, guys. We are going to drop all of Pastor E's connection links, link to his book, and all of those things right below this video in the comments. So be sure to connect. Now, Pastor E is single. He's in the dating world. Out of the listen, don't come to me. Don't DM me. Don't DM me asking about nothing. He done told you everything he gonna tell you right on this right here. Don't do it. I'm not the agent of Pastor E. All right, we'll see y'all next time.